radio stations of DoorCountyDailyNews.com. It's the good news in the morning, and I'm joined by Sturgeon Bay Superintendent Dan Tjernagel. And Dan, what's been the good news from the summer? I know you've been keeping busy down the street from our radio stations here.
Indeed we are, Tim. You know how quickly those summer months can go, I suppose, whether you're working at a district office or school or family at home with kids. The summer's gone quickly, a lot of hiring this summer. We had our new teacher breakfast to kick off this week, and we had 9 new teachers in, along with mentors, school board members, etc. So that was always a fun way to kick off the week. I know we'll get to new teachers a little bit later. Other good news items, well, we know at the end of last year, Sturgeon Bay High School was recognized as 23rd best high school in the state according to the U.S. News and World Report's designation, which was nice. Over the summer, our Sunrise and Sawyer Elementary schools are both recognized as PBIS Schools of Distinction, so they'll both have banners and have pictures we'll be able to share when they get back here now at the start of the year. As far as other things, new item, it's hopefully going to continue to share good news items and be a tradition, we hope, for years to come, a school district newsletter, which is set to come out in the next couple of weeks, spotlighting some of the things we want all of our residents to be aware of and be able to take pride in. So those are the first few things that popped to mind here today.
School's coming up here in just over a week. You'll have kids in school Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't have the calendar in front.
No, not a problem. Not a problem. Next Tuesday, September the 1st, is when schools across the county will be officially kicking into session. Although kids have been putting stuff in lockers, and especially if they have new lockers, like it happened to at the high school, getting those all tested out. I know the evening Monday, depending when this airs, Monday tonight, our 6th grade orientation takes place. And then other open houses to come, which again I know we'll hit on the calendar section.
And we'll talk about some of those opening day jitters that maybe new teachers and new students have on the radio stations of DoorCountyDailyNews.com. Dan, you have new teachers, you have new students come in. Talk about some of those things that teachers and students can expect coming into a new school year.
Absolutely, Tim. Yeah, good news. It doesn't get much more exciting than the start of every school year. I think that's one of the wonderful things about our business and education is the opportunity to start fresh. And certainly always sad to see some of our faces go and people move on and retire as we had this past year, but it's always exciting as well to bring some people in, whether it happens to be their first teaching job, as it is in a few of the cases our new teachers, or they've taught elsewhere. It's exciting to have them come in and start working with them in New Teacher In-Service Week, building, of course, to the real excitement when our students, whether returning or new, show up next Tuesday.
And you have a child in the district, you've been in education for a long time. What's been some of those pieces of advice that you've given new teachers joining the school district, and to maybe kids listening at home with their parents, advice for them?
No, it's a good question, Tim. I think the biggest piece, and what I've learned, and it's become even more true now as a parent and superintendent of schools, is the importance of relationships. Really, in education and much of life, quite frankly, it's so much that is about relationships. So for our teachers, talking a lot about getting to know each other and how to support the kids and families they work with, really getting to know their kids well, making sure their kids know that I'm someone you can trust, I care about you, I'm here to help you, and yeah, we have a lot of work to do this year, but first and foremost, that relationship. And certainly the parents of our students, right, that's critical to them, knowing that us at school, at Sturgeon Bay Schools, we're here to care about and take care of their kids. And really with kids as they come in, yes, there's school and rules and different things you learn, but getting them to make friends, build relationships with others, I know that's been a focal point in our family with our daughter coming to a new community this past year, and now in 3rd grade moving up to Sunrise, getting to know those kids and teachers. Relationships, I would say, are absolutely critical.
And you're forming new relationships as the superintendent going into your 2nd year. Let's talk about your 2nd year and goals you have for your 2nd year. Coming up next on the radio stations of DoorCountyDailyNews.com. It's a good news day with Dan Tjernagel of the Sturgeon Bay School District. Dan, heading into your 2nd year with the new school district, how did you do with your goals last year, and what are some of those goals you have heading into this year?
Well, that's a good question. It's funny because probably don't stop and think personally as far as goals as often as we could as leaders. It's very, very important. Personally and professionally, working on my dissertation, wrapped up some coursework. That's kind of one of those things that overlaps with my work, but is also some of my own personal time and whatnot. Just so happens that the topic I've been interested in for a number of years deals with operational referenda, which is very important up in Door County, frankly, with the balance of number of students we have, property values, etc., and something that our Board of Education will be talking about this next year, to come back to your question. As far as how things went, again, I spoke in another segment about the importance of relationships. Certainly there's more relationships for me to build, more people to know, become more and more involved in the community, in addition to what I've done this past year. The work, I think we realize when we do a good job, especially, is it's never over. There's far more to do, and I think as a superintendent of schools, we know if nothing else what can humble us better than a cold or snowy day, and whether or not we call off school and who's happy with that or who's not, on somewhat a serious yet joking manner. So much work to do. I think communication, frankly, is going to be continue to be an important priority area, not just for me personally, but for the district. I mentioned earlier with the newsletter, continue working with the Facebook page. So I think communication that will then go out into some of the other partnerships we have our eye on, as well as talk again about what the future is with operational referenda situation.
And we're going to communicate some of those important dates, important items for parents and teachers to know heading into the first day of school coming up next week on the radio stations of DoraCountyDailyNews.com. Next week, September 1st, schools across Door County back in session. What are some of the other key dates that people in your school district should know?
As we think about this week, we have a 6th grade orientation the evening of August 24th. We have 9th grade orientation the evening of August 25th. It's back to school night at Sawyer and Sunrise on Wednesday the 26th from 4:30 to 6. It's also the Sturgeon Bay High School open house from 6:30 to 8 that night. Of course, as you mentioned, Tim, school officially starts up for students across the county the morning of Tuesday, September the 1st. For us, technically, it's for grades 1 through 12, with our pre-K and K students visiting their classrooms on September the 1st, but they're for our littlest students, their routine kind of officially kicks in September the 2nd. No school September the 7th through to Labor Day, of course. We have the T.J. Walker Middle School open house coming up September the 8th, that evening 7 to 8 p.m. Looking ahead, I know we've gotten some calls at the high school office already about homecoming when that happens to fall. That's Friday, September the 25th. The parade, of course, that tradition at 4 p.m. with festivities and the football game later that evening. We happen to be playing Tigers and Marion, a combined team that night. Also looking ahead just a little further as far as when parents think, oh, that's right, when's that first day we don't have school as we think about school starting up. Friday, October the 9th due to teacher in-service, and then the last day of the first quarter or term, half day of students, or for students, November the 4th.
And we will have this video and this audio posted online at DoraCountyDailyNews.com just in case you couldn't jot in those dates quick enough. Dan Tjernagel, I thank you so much for sharing the good news of Sturgeon Bay School District with us on the radio stations of DoraCountyDailyNews.com.
Thank you, Tim. Happy to do it.
It's a good news day on the radio stations of DoraCountyDailyNews.com.